The Super Mario Bros. Movie is a lot of fun. Fans of the franchise will really enjoy it as it brings the characters and world to life in an exciting and entertaining way. The animation quality in the Super Mario Bros. Movie is excellent. It was created by Illumination, and they have done a fantastic job bringing the Mushroom Kingdom to life. The characters are full of personality, the colors are vibrant, and the world feels dynamic and immersive. Every scene is carefully crafted, making it a visual treat. The attention to detail, smooth movement, and playful style all combine to make the movie a joy to watch from start to finish. The voice acting is great. Each actor perfectly fits their character, bringing them to life with energy, charm, and personality. The voices capture the humor and spirit of the franchise, making the characters feel authentic and fun. The performances add depth and excitement. This is a movie that appeals to people of all ages. Young children will be captivated by the colorful worlds, playful humor, and fun characters. Adults can appreciate the clever jokes, nostalgic references, and the way the story stays true to the spirit of the games. It's a film the whole family can enjoy. The story in the Super Mario Bros. Movie is easy to follow, making it accessible to everyone. Even viewers who have never played the games can quickly understand. The plot moves at a fun pace, filled with action, humor, and surprises. Fans will enjoy the nods, but newcomers can still have a blast experiencing the colorful world. Video game movies do not have a very good track record, as many of them struggle to capture what makes their source material fun and engaging. They often end up feeling disconnected from the games, with weak stories, unfaithful characters, or a lack of understanding of what fans actually enjoy. However, the Super Mario Bros. Movie stands out as a clear exception. It respects the source material, embraces the spirit of the games, and delivers a fun and colorful experience. Instead of trying to change everything, it builds on what already works, which is why it succeeds where so many other video game adaptations have failed. The film is packed with exciting action sequences that keep the audience on the edge of their seats. From daring chases to epic confrontations, the movie balances thrilling moments. Each adventure feels lively and inventive, often using the unique abilities of the characters in creative ways. The pacing ensures the story moves forward with energy. For longtime fans of the franchise, the movie is a nostalgic treat. It brings back beloved characters, familiar settings, and iconic items in ways that honor the games. Seeing the Mushroom Kingdom, the Lair of Bowser, and classic power-ups come to life sparks memories for fans and deepens their connection to the story. Even small details like character expressions or background elements are thoughtful nods to the games that reward viewers who know the series well. The Super Mario Bros. Movie is full of humor that appeals to audiences of all ages. Children will enjoy the silly moments, exaggerated reactions, and playful gags. Adults can catch the clever jokes and subtle references to the games. The timing is spot on and the comedy never feels forced, making the film consistently fun. The soundtrack of the movie adds another layer of enjoyment. Classic Mario tunes are woven seamlessly with new compositions, creating a musical backdrop that energizes every scene. The score emphasizes emotion when needed and drives action sequences with intensity, while the familiar motifs evoke nostalgia and joy. Even secondary characters receive attention, making them memorable and giving the story depth. The personalities of Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Bowser are explored. Relationships develop naturally, whether it is through humor, teamwork, or emotional moments, making the characters relatable and engaging. The film does an excellent job of building the world of the Mushroom Kingdom and beyond. Each location is full of detail and personality, from bustling cities to imaginative landscapes. The environments feel lived in and rich with possibilities, helping viewers believe in the world the characters inhabit. This level of creativity makes exploring the story exciting. The Super Mario Bros. Movie conveys positive and uplifting themes throughout its story. Friendship, teamwork, bravery, and perseverance are central to the journey. The movie emphasizes how working together and believing in oneself can overcome challenges, while maintaining a light, fun tone that avoids feeling preachy. These messages give the story heart and leave audiences feeling inspired, making the movie both entertaining and meaningful. The combination of humor, action, vibrant visuals, and clever references gives the movie high rewatch value. Each viewing can reveal new jokes, Easter eggs, or character moments. Kids may notice different gags, while adults may pick up more subtle references or appreciate the craftsmanship of the animation and storytelling. This makes the film a movie that families and fans can enjoy multiple times, keeping it fresh and engaging long after the initial viewing. Small details and Easter eggs throughout the movie make it especially rewarding for fans. References to classic games, subtle nods in the background, and playful interactions. These touches do not overwhelm newcomers but add an extra layer of enjoyment for those familiar with the franchise. The attention to detail makes the world feel complete. The Super Mario Bros. Movie is a triumph, a vibrant and heartfelt adventure that truly captures the magic of the games. It's a must-see for everyone. It is clear that the filmmakers behind the Super Mario Bros. Movie are true fans of the franchise. Every scene feels carefully crafted with love and attention, from the way the characters behave to the way the world is brought to life. The movie is packed with references, clever nods, and iconic moments that longtime fans will immediately recognize and appreciate. It does not just tell a story. It celebrates the spirit of the games, making the film feel like a genuine love letter to the franchise. This passion shines through on screen, making it a joy for both longtime fans and newcomers alike. The Super Mario Bros. Movie is far superior to Sword Art Online in every way. While Super Mario is colorful, fun, and full of energy, Sword Art Online often feels slow, repetitive, and dull. The Mario movie knows how to entertain its audience with humor, excitement, and engaging characters. Sword Art Online struggles to keep viewers interested, relying too heavily on tired tropes and dragging storylines. Watching Super Mario is a joyful experience from start to finish, whereas Sword Art Online can feel like a slog, leaving its viewers frustrated and bored rather than excited. Sword Art Online does nothing right. The characters are flat and uninteresting, often making choices that feel unrealistic or frustrating. The story lacks focus and momentum, jumping between ideas without ever fully delivering on its own promises. The writing is weak, with dialogue that feels awkward and predictable, and plot points that are either rushed or unnecessarily dragged out. Overall, it fails to create tension, excitement, or emotional engagement, making it a frustrating experience. Compared to more polished and entertaining works like the Super Mario Bros. Movie, it is truly baffling how people continue to watch Sword Art Online when there are far superior and far more enjoyable films like the Super Mario Bros. Movie available. Mario delivers vibrant animation, clever humor, engaging characters, and a story that is easy to follow and fun from start to finish. In contrast, Sword Art Online feels tedious, poorly written, and frustrating, yet it still manages to hold an audience. When they could be enjoying a movie that is exciting, well-crafted, and genuinely entertaining for viewers of all ages. Furthermore, if you play online games yourself, Sword Art Online can be even more frustrating to watch. The fictional games in the series are poorly designed, full of confusing rules, and often make little logical sense. Challenges that should feel exciting or clever instead come across as arbitrary or unfair. And the way the characters react to these situations is often unrealistic. For gamers, these flaws stand out even more, making it difficult to take the story seriously or enjoy the experience. Especially when compared to movies like the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which present imaginative worlds that are consistent, fun, and a joy to explore. It becomes pretty obvious that the writer of Sword Art Online does not have much real experience with online games. And it also feels like very little basic research was done. The way the in-game systems are presented often lacks logic, balance, or consistency, which makes the world feel unconvincing. And situations that should require strategy or teamwork are often resolved in ways that do not reflect how real players approach games. For anyone familiar with online gaming, these issues stand out immediately and make the story harder to take seriously, since the foundation it is built on feels weak and poorly thought out. If any of the fictional games in the Sword Art Online universe actually existed, it is hard to imagine anyone choosing to play them for long. The design is so inconsistent and often unfair that most players would quickly lose interest, are either missing or poorly handled. On top of that, in a real-world setting, this kind of design would lead to negative reviews, a shrinking player base, and likely a quick shutdown. Since successful online games depend on player trust, fairness, and long-term engagement, none of which are convincingly present here. Sword Art Online can also feel insulting to people who are fans of mythology. It borrows names and ideas from well-known myths and legends, but then changes them so much that they barely resemble their original meaning or significance. Instead of thoughtfully adapting these elements, the series often uses them in a shallow way, as if the names are only there to sound impressive. This approach can be frustrating for viewers who appreciate mythology, because it feels less like a creative reinterpretation and more like a careless misuse of rich source material. As a result, what could have added depth and meaning to the story instead comes across as confusing and poorly handled. It also seems clear that very little research was done when it comes to the mythology elements in the story. The series pulls from well-known myths, but it does not show a real understanding of their origins, meanings, or importance. Instead of building on these ideas in a thoughtful way, it often changes or simplifies them to the point where they lose their identity. This can make the world feel shallow and inconsistent, especially for viewers who are familiar with these myths. What could have added depth and richness to the story instead feels careless, as if the mythology was included without any real effort to respect or understand it. Mythology is already inherently grand and epic, filled with powerful themes, larger-than-life characters, and stories that have stood the test of time. Because of that, any story that draws from mythology already has a strong foundation to build on. If you're going to write a story based on these elements, it should rise to that level and do justice to the source material. It should feel meaningful, well thought out, and worthy of the ideas it is using. When it fails to do that, it feels like a missed opportunity, because the groundwork for something great was already there. If a story cannot succeed even with that advantage, it shows a lack of effort and care in how it was created. It comes across as if the author does not genuinely care about mythology and is only using it on a surface level. Instead of exploring these stories with thought and creativity, the elements feel borrowed without much effort to understand or develop them. Rather than building something original or adding meaningful depth, it can seem like familiar names and concepts are used simply because they are available and in the public domain, not because they serve a well-crafted purpose. This approach makes the story feel less inspired, as if it is relying on existing material instead of putting in the work to create something truly engaging and memorable. Even the live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie from 1993, widely criticized and disliked, is still far better than Sword Art Online. That shows how low the bar is for ASAL. A flawed movie can still outshine it in storytelling, coherence, and entertainment value. While the 1993 film struggles, it feels like a complete story with recognizable characters and a clear direction. In comparison, Sword Art Online often feels messy, inconsistent, and frustrating to follow. I am honestly struggling to think of anything good to say about Sword Art Online. Every aspect from characters to story to world building feels either underdeveloped or poorly executed. It is not just disappointing, it is frustrating, because so many ideas could have worked with more care. Instead, the series leaves such a weak impression that it is difficult to find even one redeeming quality. The author of SAO mentioned in interviews he does not plan everything out, coming up with ideas as he goes. That approach can work, but here it leads to a story that feels messy and inconsistent. Plot points appear without build-up, rules change conveniently, and story arcs feel disconnected. Without a clear plan, the narrative lacks structure and direction, making it harder for the audience to stay invested. It is not surprising the writing comes across as sloppy, pieced together on the fly rather than carefully thought out. And what is even worse than Sword Art Online itself is its fanbase. The fans are defensive and dismissive of any criticism, making it difficult to have a normal conversation. Instead of engaging with different opinions, they react rudely or intensely, adding to the negative experience. This behavior turns what should be a fun discussion into something unpleasant for those sharing honest thoughts. SAO fans act like the series can do no wrong, praising it at every turn as if it is the greatest ever made. Any criticism, no matter how reasonable, gets dismissed immediately, as if the show is beyond question. This blind loyalty makes real discussion impossible. They double down and defend every weak moment. It creates the impression the series is on an undeserved pedestal, frustrating anyone trying to have an honest conversation. SAO fans often refuse to acknowledge any criticism, no matter how reasonable. Instead of engaging, they shut down viewpoints and act as if nothing is wrong with the show. It always seems to come back to the idea that everyone else is wrong while the series is beyond criticism. This mindset makes meaningful discussion impossible. There is no room for debate or honest evaluation. Rather than considering flaws, the conversation gets stuck in a loop of denial and defensiveness, adding to the frustration. The most ironic part is how SAO fans often tell others to stop defending the show. They argue engaging with negative opinions is pointless, yet they turn around and do the exact same thing. The moment someone criticizes the series, they jump in to defend it, sometimes more aggressively. This contradiction makes their stance inconsistent and hard to take seriously. It creates a cycle where they criticize others for behavior they repeat, highlighting a lack of self-awareness. It is truly pathetic how some fans do not practice what they preach. They constantly tell people not to defend the show, insisting it gives unnecessary attention. Yet, they immediately turn around and defend every flaw as if the series is flawless. This lack of consistency makes their arguments meaningless and highlights their lack of self-awareness. Their behavior creates more frustration and shows loyalty overrides any sense of reason. It makes sense, in a way. A poorly written and frustrating anime like Sao attracts a fan base that mirrors its flaws. When the show is full of shallow characters, sloppy storytelling, it draws people who defend it blindly. The series sets a low bar, and sadly some fans follow suit, valuing blind loyalty over critical thinking. Even people who enjoy Sao often find it difficult to tolerate other fans, which says a lot. The defensiveness, aggressive debating, and refusal to accept criticism create an exhausting environment. Fans who appreciate the story still get frustrated by others' behavior, making calm discussion hard. That level of toxicity and obsession highlights how unpleasant the community can be. The Mario community is far better than the Sword Art Online fanbase in every way. Fans of Mario games and movies tend to be friendly, welcoming, and enthusiastic without being overly defensive. They share tips, celebrate characters, and enjoy discussing the franchise in a fun and inclusive way. Unlike the Sword Art Online fanbase, which often reacts negatively to criticism, the Mario community encourages conversation and appreciates different perspectives. Overall, it feels supportive, positive, and genuinely excited about the content, making it a much more enjoyable group to be part of. At this point, it is best to just avoid Sword Art Online and the more toxic parts of its fanbase altogether. The series itself is frustrating enough on its own, and the way some fans react to any criticism only makes the experience worse. Instead of dealing with endless arguments, defensiveness, and negativity, it is far more enjoyable to spend time on movies and communities that are actually fun, welcoming, and worth the effort. There are plenty of better options out there, like the Super Mario Bros. Movie, that offer genuine entertainment without all the unnecessary frustration. It is great that the Super Mario Bros. Movie is getting sequels, because the world it introduces is so large and full of possibilities. There are so many characters, locations, and stories that have not even been explored yet, which means future movies have a lot of potential. The Mushroom Kingdom alone feels rich and alive, and there are many other worlds from the games that could be brought to the screen in exciting ways. With the strong foundation already in place, sequels have the chance to go even further, introducing new adventures while keeping the same sense of fun, color, and energy. It is exciting to imagine where the story could go next and which other characters might be introduced in future films. The Mario universe is filled with so many memorable figures and unique personalities that have not yet appeared on screen, leaving plenty of room for new surprises. Each new character could bring their own style, abilities, and humor, adding even more depth and variety to the story. At the same time, the story itself could explore new settings, challenges, and relationships, building on what has already been established. This sense of possibility makes the future of the series feel full of potential and keeps fans looking forward to what comes next. Mario clearly deserves its success and popularity, especially with how much care, creativity, and effort go into every part of the franchise. The games and the movie are designed to be fun, accessible, and memorable, with strong attention to detail and a clear respect for the characters and their world. That level of quality naturally earns the support and appreciation of a wide audience. In contrast, Sword Art Online often feels like it is not put in the same level of thought or consistency, which makes its popularity harder to understand. When one franchise consistently delivers enjoyable and well-crafted experiences, and the other struggles with basic elements like storytelling and character development, it becomes clear which one truly earns its success. It is frustrating to see so much support go toward something like Sword Art Online when it falls short in so many key areas. When weak storytelling, inconsistent world building, and underdeveloped characters continue to be rewarded with attention and praise, it can give the impression that quality does not matter. Supporting stronger, more carefully made projects helps raise expectations and encourage better work across the board. Choosing to spend time and attention on stories that are well thought out and engaging sends a clear message about what audiences value. People who praise Sword Art Online as the best thing ever might not have explored many other movies or shows. There are so many series and films out there with stronger writing, deeper characters, and more carefully built worlds. When someone has seen a wider range of stories, it becomes easier to notice the weaknesses in something like Sword Art Online. Experiencing different genres, styles, and creators often raises expectations for storytelling and quality. Because of that, it can be surprising to see the level of praise the series receives when there are so many better crafted options available. Choosing Sword Art Online over the endless amount of high-quality movies and shows available is like walking into a massive buffet filled with fresh, well-prepared dishes, and then deciding to eat the moldy bread sitting in the corner. There are so many options that offer better storytelling, stronger characters, and more satisfying experiences. Yet Sword Art Online still gets picked as if it stands above the rest. The contrast makes the choice feel confusing because the difference in quality is so noticeable. When there is an abundance of content that is creative, polished, and engaging, settling for something that feels careless and poorly put together just does not make much sense. The sad part is that Sword Art Online fans do not seem open to reconsidering their views. They continue to praise the series without really engaging with its flaws, even when those issues are pointed out clearly. Instead of reflecting on the criticism or considering different perspectives, they double down on their support and treat the show as if it deserves universal praise. This creates a cycle where the same problems are ignored over and over, making it feel like nothing will change no matter how much the series is discussed or critiqued. Sword Art Online fans really need to grow up and start seeing the world as it actually is. Constantly defending a series that has clear flaws and treating it as flawless shows a lack of perspective and critical thinking. Engaging with different opinions, acknowledging mistakes, and understanding that not everything deserves blind admiration are all part of developing a more mature approach to media. By refusing to do this, some fans isolate themselves in a bubble where weak storytelling and sloppy writing are praised, which prevents them from appreciating many other movies, shows, and games. I am glad I am not a Sword Art Online fan, and I never have been. After seeing what the series offers and how it is often received, I have no interest in being part of that. It simply does not appeal to me, whether it is the storytelling, the characters, or the way discussions around it tend to unfold. There are so many other movies, shows, and games that are more enjoyable, better made, and more worth the time. Choosing to focus on those feels like a much better use of energy. And I have no desire to be involved with something that I find so frustrating and unappealing. You could not pay me to join the Sword Art Online community. No amount of money would make it worth dealing with that kind of experience. The constant arguments, the refusal to accept criticism, and the overall tone of many discussions make it feel exhausting rather than enjoyable. Being part of a fan community should be fun, engaging, and welcoming, not something that feels like a chore or a headache. There are far better communities out there that are positive, open-minded, and actually enjoyable to be part of. So there's no reason to put up with something that feels so frustrating. I would gladly pay money just to avoid Sword Art Online fans. Their constant defensiveness, refusal to accept criticism, and aggressive debates make interacting with them a frustrating experience. It is exhausting to try to have any kind of reasonable conversation, and the negativity can quickly overshadow any enjoyment the series might offer. Avoiding that kind of environment feels like a relief, and I would happily invest in keeping my distance rather than getting caught up in endless arguments and toxic behavior. Interacting with Sword Art Online fans is something I want to avoid at all costs. Their defensiveness, constant arguing, and unwillingness to consider any criticism make conversations frustrating and unpleasant. I have no interest in getting involved in endless debates or dealing with the negativity that can come from their behavior. No matter what they say, I would rather steer clear entirely and spend my time enjoying communities and content that are actually positive, fun, and worth engaging with. Sword Art Online fans do not deserve my time. Engaging with them often means dealing with defensiveness, hostility, and a refusal to accept any criticism of a flawed series. Their behavior can turn what should be a simple discussion about a show into an exhausting argument, leaving little room for meaningful conversation. Instead of wasting energy on negativity and frustration, I prefer to focus on communities and content that are welcoming, thoughtful, and genuinely enjoyable. There's no reason to give attention to a fan base that makes the experience unpleasant. From my perspective, parts of the Sword Art Online community feel even more frustrating than what people often complain about in other fan communities. The level of defensiveness, the unwillingness to accept criticism, and the intensity of some reactions can make discussions feel exhausting rather than enjoyable. Instead of being a space for sharing ideas and opinions, it can turn into constant arguments where nothing productive comes out of it. That kind of environment stands out in a negative way, especially when compared to communities that are more open, respectful, and willing to engage in honest conversation. I will stick to watching good movies and shows that are actually worth my time. There's so much quality content out there that entertains, inspires, and respects its audience. And that is where I want to focus my energy. Sword Art Online, with its sloppy writing, weak characters, and poorly handled concepts, simply does not belong on that list. It deserves to be left behind and forgotten, while better stories continue to thrive and capture the attention of viewers who appreciate well-crafted entertainment. Even the worst movies based on video games are still far more entertaining to watch than Sword Art Online. While those films might be poorly made, awkwardly acted, or full of ridiculous plot choices, they at least provide unintentional humor and moments that are fun to experience. You can laugh at how over-the-top or absurd they are, which makes watching them a kind of guilty pleasure. Sword Art Online, on the other hand, often fails to deliver anything enjoyable. No humor, no excitement, and no sense of fun, making it a frustrating and tedious experience instead of even being entertainingly bad. I would much rather watch something that is so bad it is entertaining than sit through Sword Art Online. At least in those movies or shows, the flaws are funny or outrageous in a way that keeps you engaged and even laughing. Sword Art Online, by contrast, is just boring and bland. It offers no excitement, no memorable moments, and none of the accidental entertainment that makes watching bad media enjoyable. Watching it feels like a slog with tedious pacing and uninteresting storytelling, making even the worst so bad it's good content far more enjoyable in comparison. I honestly do not understand how fans manage to watch Sword Art Online without losing their minds. The pacing is slow, the story is often confusing or repetitive, and the writing leaves so much to be desired. For anyone who actually stays awake and follows the entire series without zoning out, they really deserve a trophy. It takes a surprising amount of patience to sit through all the tedious moments and poorly executed plotlines. And the fact that some people can do it is almost impressive, if only the experience were actually rewarding or enjoyable. Watching Sword Art Online feels like a grueling endurance test that is harder than almost anything else you might attempt. The slow pacing, messy plotlines, and repetitive scenes make it mentally exhausting to follow, and it can be a real challenge just to stay focused. Compared to sitting through this series, running a marathon would probably feel like a breeze. At least in a race, you have a clear goal and a sense of progress. With Sword Art Online, every episode can feel like a slog, and by the end, you are left drained rather than entertained. It is the kind of experience that tests patience more than most anything else you might voluntarily do. The moral of the story is simple. Avoid Sword Art Online and spend your time on content that is actually worth it. There are countless movies, shows, and games that are thoughtfully made, entertaining, and satisfying, so it makes no sense to waste energy on something frustrating and poorly executed. Choosing quality content not only gives you a better viewing experience, it also allows you to enjoy stories that are engaging, well-written, and fun. Life is too short to deal with sloppy storytelling and toxic fan drama, so focus on the things that are genuinely rewarding. As a bonus for sticking around until now, let us take a closer look at how the characters in the Super Mario Bros. Movie could have approached defeating the main villain in different ways. The movie already does a great job of showing creative teamwork and clever use of abilities, but imagining alternative strategies highlights just how versatile and resourceful the characters are. For example, Mario and Luigi could have used their environment in unexpected ways, or enlisted help from other characters in the Mushroom Kingdom. Exploring these possibilities shows how much depth the story has, and how the skills and teamwork of the characters could have led to even more exciting or inventive solutions to the challenges they face.
Here's how to beat Bowser in the Super Mario Bros. Movie. The movie begins with Bowser and his army invading the Snow Kingdom and stealing the Superstar. The Penguins needed a better defense strategy. Throwing a few snowballs at Bowser isn't gonna do anything. The Penguins are already at a severe disadvantage because they're ice-based and Bowser has fire powers, but that doesn't automatically mean that they can't win against him. Instead of fighting Bowser head-on, they could use their environment creatively. Maybe they could create obstacles or traps using the snow and ice around them to slow down Bowser and his troops. One idea could be to create a slippery surface using the snow or ice, causing Bowser to lose his balance and fall. Another approach could involve using large amounts of snow or ice to cover Bowser and freeze him. The Penguins could also seek help from other allies, or come up with a surprise attack strategy to outsmart Bowser and his forces. Cooperation and thinking outside the box would give them a better chance of defeating Bowser than direct confrontation. And as a last resort, the Penguins could have used the Superstar themselves, giving them the power of invincibility to defeat Bowser. Italian-American brothers Mario and Luigi get sucked in a pipe and are transported to another world, but they get separated. They needed to hold on to each other more securely. Mario and Luigi could have interlocked their fingers or wrapped their arms around each other while maintaining a strong grip. Mario and Luigi could just walk back through the pipe and return to Brooklyn. That's the first thing they should have tried doing. It's not like the pipe can only be used once to travel between worlds. Luigi finds himself in the Darklands. He gets attacked by some dry bones. Luigi shouldn't have thrown his stuff away. He was carrying around a lot of plumbing equipment, so he could have used some of those items as weapons. The dry bones can assemble back together after being hit. Luigi should push the dry bones into the lava. Mario arrives in the Mushroom Kingdom, and he comes across Princess Peach. Mario wants Peach's assistance to rescue Luigi. Peach will only help Mario if he completes a training course, but Peach's main mission is to gather the Kong army to stop Bowser. It seems odd that she's diverting her attention to help Mario, considering they've just met and Peach doesn't really owe Mario any favors. Mario can eat mushrooms to get some power-ups. The power-ups make Mario taller, stronger, and allow him to jump higher. When Mario gets hit, he loses the power. Mario's tackling the training course in his trusty overalls, but it would be smarter for him to switch to more comfortable attire. Overalls aren't exactly the easiest to move around in, especially for a physical challenge like this. Even though Mario couldn't finish the training course, Peach chooses to help him regardless. Why put Mario through all that in the first place? With Bowser looming on his way to invade the Mushroom Kingdom, there's no time to waste. If Peach intended to help Mario anyway, she could have just let him join her, without spending all that extra time on the training course. Bowser wants to marry Peach, even though he knows that she hates him. If Peach refuses to marry Bowser, he'll use the Superstar to destroy the Mushroom Kingdom. It's hard to see how this plan could ever work out. Attempting to force a marriage under such circumstances is a terrible plan. Building a relationship on mistrust and coercion is destined to fail. The fact is, Peach and Bowser belong to entirely different species, so expecting any romantic connection between them seems far-fetched. Rather than pursuing Peach, Bowser would have better luck finding a companion among his own Koopa kind who genuinely reciprocates his feelings. Mario and Peach go to the Jungle Kingdom, accompanied by Toad. It's puzzling how Peach allows Toad to join them without the need for him to complete the training course, yet she insisted on Mario completing the course earlier. This decision is inconsistent, raising the question of why Peach didn't apply the same leniency to Mario from the start. Peach could have saved a lot of time, considering the urgency of their mission and the need for swift action against the impending threat of Bowser. The characters should bring some of the power-up mushrooms. Carrying these mushrooms could prove beneficial as they journey through various challenges. These mushrooms can offer a much-needed power boost in case they encounter tougher adversaries or difficult obstacles along the way. Having the power-up mushrooms on hand ensures that they're prepared for any unexpected situations, where an extra power-up might be the key to overcoming them. Mario, Peach, and Toad spend the night in a field full of fire flowers. When they touch these flowers, they can shoot fireballs. It's a pretty cool ability. They should take some of these fire flowers with them, in case they need to use them later on. Peach's earliest memory is of her arriving in this world, but she can just go back through the same pipe she came from. The pipe isn't a one-way or single-use passage. It's puzzling why Peach chose to remain in this unfamiliar place, rather than returning to the world she came from. It's fortunate for her that Peach arrived in the Mushroom Kingdom, and not the more perilous Darklands. Luigi is captured by Bowser, who's pressing him for information about Mario. In this situation, it would be wise for Luigi to lie. After all, Bowser doesn't have any surefire way of confirming if Luigi's actually telling the truth. There's really no good reason for Luigi to spill the beans about Mario. If Luigi had fed Bowser false details, it could have thrown Bowser off course, and maybe even foiled his plans. Luigi is locked in a cage. The gap between the bars appears wide enough for Luigi to squeeze through. He can easily fit his head through, and there's some extra space, indicating that Luigi should be capable of squeezing out. Once free from the cage, Luigi could climb up the chain and make his escape. Mario, Peach, and Toad finally reach the Jungle Kingdom. The leader, Cranky Kong, will only help them if Mario can defeat Donkey Kong. Peach should try volunteering to go in Mario's place. As we saw before, Peach is a much better fighter than Mario, so she would stand more of a chance against Donkey Kong in combat. Mario should have just kept quiet. Mario fights Donkey Kong. Mario eats a blue mushroom, causing him to shrink. It seems like Mario assumed the blue mushrooms would have the same effect as the red mushrooms, that typically make him bigger and stronger. Mario should have been more observant, and realized that the different colored mushrooms provide different power-ups. And in this tiny form, Mario should crawl into Donkey Kong's ear and destroy his brain. Mario isn't gonna win the fight with brute force, because he's much weaker than Donkey Kong, so Mario has to find another way to beat him. Mario gets a catsuit suit, which turns out to be quite powerful against Donkey Kong. With this suit, Mario gains an upper hand in the fight. The key to maximizing the suit's effectiveness is for Mario to avoid getting hit, so that he can keep using it. The suit gives Mario significant combat advantages, giving him increased mobility and unique abilities that greatly aid him in battling other opponents. It would be pretty useful against Bowser. Mario defeats Donkey Kong. The characters create their own carts to travel back to the Mushroom Kingdom. Turns out some of these carts can actually fly. They should all go for flying carts. Flying should be much faster than driving, and speed is crucial here. They need to get back to the Mushroom Kingdom pronto. Using the flying carts not only gets them there quicker, but also allows them to avoid getting hit by the pesky shells on the road. Mario and Donkey Kong get knocked off the road, and they fall into the water. Peach previously rescued Toad using her flying cart, so she could have saved Mario and Donkey Kong as well. Bowser comes to invade the Mushroom Kingdom. He wants Peach to marry him. However, Peach refuses. Peach agrees to marry Bowser if he doesn't hurt any of the Toads. Peach should put up with marrying Bowser and kill him in his sleep or poison him. Mario and Donkey Kong are swallowed by a mare. They ride a rocket to escape. During the wedding ceremony, Toad sneaks an ice flower into Peach's bouquet. Peach uses the ice flower's power to freeze Bowser. Bowser breaks free from the ice. Someone could have pushed him into the lava. Bowser was immobilized, so he couldn't do anything. Bowser orders his army to launch the Bomberbill and destroy the Mushroom Kingdom. Why did Bowser even need the Superstar? If he was just gonna use the Bomberbill to destroy the Mushroom Kingdom, Mario redirects the Bomberbill towards the pipe that brought him here. The Bomberbill explodes, and it brings everything and everyone through the pipe to Brooklyn. Redirecting the Bomberbill was a good choice. However, Mario should have chosen a more strategic redirection point. An empty field or the middle of the ocean would have been a smarter location. That way it doesn't cause any unintended damage. Mario got hit several times, yet he didn't lose the power-up. It appears that the rules in the story aren't always consistent. Mario and Luigi touch the Superstar, gaining its incredible powers. With this newfound ability, they become invulnerable and can defeat any opponent. Eventually, Mario and Luigi successfully beat Bowser. Peach forces Bowser to eat a blue mushroom, and it shrinks him down in size. They should just kill Bowser. If Bowser gets hit, he'll grow back to regular size and cause trouble again. Mario and Luigi don't have the Superstar's power anymore, so they won't be able to beat Bowser. Bowser will definitely want to get revenge on the characters, so they have to kill him to tie up all the loose ends. Putting Tiny Bowser in a jar is a bad idea. If someone accidentally shakes or tips over the jar, Bowser could get hit, causing him to return to his full size. It would be smarter to confine Bowser in a more secure way, like placing him in a padded room, ensuring he remains unharmed and doesn't grow back to his original size. Locking Bowser in a cage with a small piano seems odd and potentially risky. Bowser could injure himself with the piano. It would be safer to get rid of the piano. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.
If you're looking for other great movies based on video games, you should definitely check out the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. These films are fantastic for many reasons. First, they capture the fun and energy of the original video games. Sonic himself is fast, clever, and full of personality, and the movies do a great job of bringing that character to life. The stories are entertaining and easy to follow, with plenty of action, humor, and heart. You will find yourself rooting for Sonic. The movies also have a colorful, exciting visual style that matches the playful spirit of the games. The special effects are impressive. Another reason the movies are great is the supporting cast. The human characters are relatable and funny, and the villain, Dr. Robotnik, is both menacing and hilarious. The films balance action and comedy very well, so you are never bored, and there are moments that will make you laugh out loud. Finally, the Sonic movies are perfect for families and fans of video games alike. They respect the source material. Whether you grew up playing Sonic games or are discovering him for the first time, these movies are full of energy, heart, and excitement. When it comes to TV shows based on video games, there are some excellent choices, and two of the best are Fallout and The Last of Us. The Last of Us is a standout for its emotional depth and gripping story. It takes the world and characters from the video game and brings them to life. The show is full of suspense, drama, and heart, making you care deeply about the characters and their struggles. It is not just an action show. It is a story about people, their choices, and their survival in a dangerous world. Fallout, on the other hand, offers a different kind of thrill. It captures the post-apocalyptic setting of the games perfectly. The world building is detailed, and the series balances moments of fun with suspense and danger. Watching it, you feel like you are stepping directly into the game. Both shows are great examples of how video game adaptations can succeed when they focus on strong storytelling, compelling characters, and unique atmosphere. They appeal not only to fans of the original games, but also to anyone who enjoys well-made, engaging television that keeps you on the edge of your seat. It seems like movies and TV shows based on video games have become the new gold mine for Hollywood. Studios have realized these adaptations can be extremely successful. Part of the appeal is that video games already have rich worlds, interesting characters, and built-in fan bases. This gives filmmakers a strong starting point. The success of franchises like Sonic the Hedgehog and The Last of Us shows that there is a real appetite for well-made adaptations. As studios continue to explore this trend, we can expect to see a wide variety of video game stories brought to life. For fans of gaming, this means more opportunities to see favorite characters and worlds come alive in new and exciting ways. There are plenty more video game movies and TV show adaptations in the works, and the list keeps growing. Even if you have never played the games before, these adaptations can be exciting and enjoyable because they focus on strong storytelling. For example, a God of War TV series is currently in development. This adaptation is especially exciting because the games are known for their epic stories. Bringing Kratos and his journey to the screen offers the chance to explore these rich stories in a new way, with visuals and performances that can make the characters feel real. Other upcoming projects are also generating buzz, showing that studios are committed to turning more beloved video game franchises into films and series. With so many iconic games to choose from, it is easy to be excited about what is coming next. These adaptations promise to offer a mix of action, drama, and fun. And even if some of these adaptations turn out to be not very good, there are always the video games to fall back on. The original games are still there, with the stories, worlds, and characters that fans have loved for years. Watching a movie or show might not always live up to expectations. This makes video game adaptations low risk in a way. You can be curious and try the movies or shows, and if they do not meet your hopes, you have the source material to enjoy instead. Additionally, movies and TV shows that use video games as part of their main plot, even if they are not directly based on a specific game, can be really fun to watch. These stories often capture the excitement, creativity, and imagination of gaming in ways that appeal to both gamers and general audiences. For instance, Ready Player One creates a vibrant, immersive world where video games, pop culture, and adventure collide. The movie is full of exciting action, clever references, and visually stunning sequences that make you feel like you are stepping into a game yourself. Similarly, Free Guy offers a fun and lighthearted take on video game life, showing what it would be like if characters became aware of their world. The humor, creativity, and energy in these movies make them enjoyable, even for people who do not normally play video games. These kinds of films and shows highlight how video games can inspire stories in fresh and inventive ways. They bring the thrill, imagination, and fun of gaming to the big screen, creating worlds accessible and entertaining for everyone. Even if you are not a gamer, the excitement of these stories, the clever twists, and the visual spectacle make them well worth watching. If you think about it, a video game is a great setting for a story. It already comes with a built-in world, interesting characters, and challenges. Many games are filled with action, adventure, mystery, or even emotional moments, giving storytellers a rich foundation to build on. Unlike starting a story from scratch, a video game world often already feels alive and immersive, so movies and TV shows can jump right into the excitement. Video games also allow for creative storytelling. They often have unique locations, imaginative creatures, and unusual rules. Because the worlds are already detailed and visually engaging, adaptations can focus on exploring characters, conflicts, and the journey. Even stories not direct adaptations can use video game ideas to explore fun concepts, like living inside a game, leveling up, or completing epic quests. In short, video games provide a perfect playground for storytellers. They give filmmakers a way to combine action, humor, drama, and adventure, creating stories that are exciting to watch and easy for audiences to get lost in. The medium offers endless possibilities for fun and imaginative storytelling. Both Ready Player One and Free Guy have sequels currently in development, and that is really exciting news for fans of these movies. As a massive fan of both films, I'm looking forward to seeing how the stories continue and what new adventures await the characters. These sequels have the potential to take the worlds even further, introducing new challenges, new characters, and even bigger, more creative set pieces. Ready Player One has always been full of clever references, imaginative action, and a sense of wonder. So it will be fascinating to see what new virtual worlds and pop culture nods the sequel will bring. Similarly, Free Guy captured the humor and excitement of life inside a video game. And a sequel could explore even more creative ideas about the characters and the game universe itself. Knowing that both franchises are returning makes it an exciting time for anyone who enjoys movies inspired by video games or gaming culture. Even for those who have never played the games themselves, these films offer high-energy action, engaging stories, and plenty of fun moments. For fans like me, the sequels are something to genuinely look forward to, promising more laughs, thrills, and imaginative storytelling. As you can see, there are plenty of amazing movies and TV shows based on video games that are full of excitement, great storytelling, and fun characters. They offer action, humor, and adventure in ways that really capture the spirit of gaming. Compared to those, something like Sword Art Online really does not hold up. It has its fans, but when it comes to quality storytelling, engaging characters, and cinematic fun, there are so many better options to spend your time on. If you are looking for entertainment that truly celebrates the worlds and creativity of video games, it is worth skipping over shows like that and focusing on the films and series that actually deliver. Whether it is the high-energy adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, the gripping drama of The Last of Us, or the imaginative fun of Ready Player One and Free Guy, these adaptations show how video games can be turned into fantastic stories that are exciting, entertaining, and worth watching from start to finish. The world of video game adaptations is full of gems, and with so many upcoming projects and sequels on the way, there is no need to waste time on titles that do not live up to the hype. Stick to the ones that really deliver the thrill and fun of gaming on screen. Sword Art Online is bad. It has always been bad, and it seems likely that it will always be bad. From the very beginning, the show struggled with pacing, inconsistent storytelling, and characters that are difficult to care about. The world it builds could have been exciting and immersive, but instead it often feels shallow and poorly thought out. Fans of video games or fantasy adventure often find themselves frustrated rather than entertained. The problems are not just minor flaws. They are consistent throughout the series. Plot holes, awkward character choices, and moments that feel forced or cliché make it hard for the show to succeed. In the ways that other adaptations like The Last of Us or Ready Player One manage to do effortlessly. Even people who are curious about the story or the concept of gaming worlds in fiction are often left disappointed. Ultimately, Sword Art Online serves as an example of what happens when a show has potential but fails to deliver on execution. While there are plenty of great movies and series inspired by video games that capture the excitement, emotion, and creativity of their source material, Sword Art Online is not one of them. It is safe to say that it has never been good and shows no sign of becoming so in the future. Skip Sword Art Online. Honestly, there is no reason to waste your time on it when there are so many far better options out there. Whether you are interested in movies or TV shows inspired by video games, there are adaptations that actually deliver exciting stories, memorable characters, and fun worlds. Sword Art Online, by contrast, falls flat in nearly every area. It struggles with pacing, lacks compelling character development, and never really captures the thrill of gaming. If you want something that is entertaining, well-made, and genuinely fun to watch, there are dozens of alternatives that will give you everything Sal fails to deliver. From action-packed adventures like Sonic the Hedgehog to gripping, emotional stories like The Last of Us, you can easily find adaptations that make the experience worthwhile. Skip the disappointment and go straight to the content that will actually entertain and excite you. Sword Art Online could have been something great. The idea alone had everything it needed to succeed. Being trapped inside a video game is an exciting concept, full of tension, danger, and endless story possibilities. It should have been a gripping, high-stakes adventure with smart writing and characters you actually care about. Instead, it completely falls apart because of poor writing. The story feels rushed, important moments are glossed over, and the pacing makes no sense. Characters are introduced and then barely developed, and the relationships feel forced rather than earned. What should have been intense and emotional ends up feeling shallow and forgettable. What makes it worse is how much potential it wastes. The premise is strong enough to carry an amazing series, but the execution drags it down at every turn. Rather than exploring the psychological impact of being trapped in a game or building a rich, believable world, the show takes shortcuts and settles for weak storytelling. In the end, Sword Art Online is not just bad, it is frustrating. It is the kind of show that reminds you how good it could have been if it had been handled properly. Instead of becoming a standout in the genre, it ends up as a huge disappointment that never lives up to its own idea. They even tried to fix things by rebooting the story with the Sword Art Online Progressive series, but that ended up being a big letdown too. The whole point of Progressive was to go back and tell the story the right way, with more detail, better pacing, and a deeper look at the world and characters. On paper, that sounds exactly like what the series needed. It was a chance to correct past mistakes and finally deliver on the promise of the original idea. But somehow it still falls short. Even with more time to explore the story, it does not really fix the core problems. The writing still feels weak, the characters still lack real depth, and the emotional moments do not hit the way they should. Instead of feeling like a true improvement, it just feels like more of the same issues in a slightly different format. What makes this especially disappointing is that Progressive had every opportunity to succeed. It already knew what did not work before, and it had a clear path to make things better. Yet it still fails to turn the concept into something truly compelling. Rather than redeeming the franchise, it just reinforces the idea that the series keeps missing its chance to be great. Furthermore, you only get one chance to make a good first impression, and Sword Art Online completely wasted that chance. The first arc was supposed to hook people, pull them into the world, and show why the story mattered. Instead, it rushed through key moments, skipped over important development, and failed to build the kind of tension and connection that would make viewers care. First impressions matter more than anything, especially for a series built on such a strong idea. If the beginning does not deliver, it becomes much harder for people to stay invested or trust that things will improve later on. In this case, the show started off weak and never truly recovered from that. Even when it tried to expand or revisit the story later, the damage had already been done. Because of that, a lot of viewers checked out early or continued watching with lowered expectations. Once that initial excitement is gone, it is almost impossible to fully win it back. Instead of building momentum, the series spent the rest of its time trying to make up for a poor start, and it never quite succeeded. In the end, it stands as a clear example of how wasting a strong first impression can hold a story back, no matter how many chances it gets afterward. Once you have broken the trust of people, it is very hard to earn it back, and in most cases, it is almost impossible. Trust is what keeps people invested in a story. It makes them believe that the time they are spending will be worth it. When a show disappoints early on, that trust is damaged, and everything that comes after is viewed with doubt. Even if the series tries to improve, viewers are already skeptical. They start to question the writing, the characters, and the direction of the story. Instead of getting excited, they expect to be let down again. That kind of mindset is very difficult to change, because the first impression still lingers in the back of their mind. For something like Sword Art Online, this becomes a major problem. It already lost the confidence of many viewers, so later attempts to fix things do not have the same impact. People are less willing to give it another chance, and even when they do, the experience is shaped by what came before. In the end, once that trust is broken, it creates a barrier that is incredibly difficult to overcome, no matter how many changes or improvements are made later on. People already gave Sword Art Online a fair chance, and for a lot of viewers, it just did not deliver. At that point, they made up their minds, and that kind of first experience is hard to shake. Because of that, most people are not interested in giving it another chance. There's simply too much other great content out there to spend time on something that already let them down once. With so many strong movies and TV shows based on video games, along with countless other high-quality series, viewers would rather invest their time in something they know has a better chance of being enjoyable. It really comes down to time and choice. People only have so much free time, and they want to spend it on stories that are engaging, well-written, and worth their attention. When a show has already proven that it cannot meet those expectations, it falls to the bottom of the list. Instead of going back and hoping for a different result, most viewers will move on to something better and never look back. There's no real hope for Sword Art Online at this point. If it was not good when it first came out, and it still is not good even after trying to restart and fix things, then it is hard to believe it will ever truly become good. The series has already had multiple chances to improve, and each time it falls back into the same problems that held it back from the beginning. At some point, it stops being about potential and starts being about patterns. If the writing, pacing, and character issues keep showing up again and again, that is not bad luck. It is just how the series is. A reboot or a new version is supposed to fix those issues, but when even that fails, it shows that the core problems run deeper than just one part of the story. Because of that, it feels like the series has already shown everything it is capable of. Instead of growing into something better, it keeps repeating the same mistakes and disappointing the same expectations. That is why it is so hard to have any confidence in its future. If it could not get it right with all the chances it has had, there is no real reason to believe it suddenly will. In the hands of a skilled writer, this could have been amazing. The concept is already strong enough to carry an entire series. Being trapped inside a video game where death has real consequences is the kind of idea that can lead to intense drama, smart character development, and meaningful stakes. A better writer could have taken the time to build the world properly, develop the characters in a believable way, and explore the emotional and psychological impact of the situation. It had all the ingredients needed for something truly memorable. But instead, it feels like that potential was completely wasted. The writing takes shortcuts, skips over important moments, and never fully commits to the depth the story needed. Rather than building tension and letting events unfold naturally, it rushes through arcs and leaves key ideas underdeveloped. Characters that should feel complex end up feeling flat, and moments that should carry weight come and go without much impact. What makes it even more frustrating is that you can clearly see what it could have been. The foundation is there, but the execution never rises to meet it. Instead of becoming a standout series in its genre, it ends up feeling like a missed opportunity from start to finish. It is not just disappointing because it is bad. It is disappointing because it could have been so much better and simply was not. It is wild how badly they fumbled with Sword Art Online. Everything that could possibly go wrong did go wrong, and it feels like the series just kept making one mistake after another. The pacing is all over the place, important story moments are rushed or skipped entirely, and the characters never get the development they desperately need. Instead of building tension, excitement, or emotional depth, the show stumbles from one weak plot point to the next. Even the things that should have been strong, like the concept of being trapped in a game, the high stakes, and the potential for character growth, are mishandled. Moments that should have been thrilling end up feeling flat. Relationships that could have been meaningful feel forced or underdeveloped. The world itself, which should have been immersive and engaging, often feels shallow or inconsistent. It is almost shocking how much potential was wasted. The series had all the right ingredients to be a standout, but somehow every choice seemed to make it worse instead of better. By the time the first season finishes, it is clear that nearly every opportunity to make the story compelling was missed, leaving viewers frustrated rather than entertained. Sword Art Online is a textbook example of how a strong concept can completely collapse when execution fails at every turn. Sword Art Online is the ultimate guide on how not to make an anime series. If you're someone interested in creating an anime, this show is a perfect example of what to avoid. From poor pacing to shallow characters, rushed storytelling, and missed opportunities, it demonstrates nearly every common mistake a series can make. The writing often skips over important details or tries to move too fast, which leaves the world feeling incomplete and confusing. Characters who should be interesting or relatable end up flat and forgettable, and emotional moments fail to land because the series does not take the time to build them properly. Even the central premise, a story about being trapped in a video game, full of tension and adventure, is mishandled, showing that a strong idea alone is not enough to carry a show. For anyone trying to learn from this as a cautionary tale, the lessons are clear. Take your time with character development, make your story arcs consistent and meaningful, and do not rush through the world building. Avoid relying on popularity or flashy ideas to carry the series. Instead, focus on crafting a story that feels coherent, engaging, and respects the intelligence of the audience. In short, Sword Art Online shows what can go wrong when execution fails, no matter how good the initial concept is. For aspiring anime creators, it is a crash course in what not to do, and a reminder that thoughtful writing, pacing, and character work are far more important than flashy premises or hype. It does not even feel like a real show. Watching Sword Art Online gives the impression that nothing was taken seriously, and that the story exists almost as a joke. The plot is so poorly structured, the pacing so erratic, and the characters so shallow that it feels like the creator was not really invested in making something compelling. At times, it seems as if the author lost a bet or was dared to create the worst story possible, and somehow managed to succeed at that. The series is full of missed opportunities, awkward dialogue, and scenes that make no logical sense. Moments that should feel exciting or emotional often land flat, and the tension that is supposed to drive the story never really materializes. Instead of feeling immersive or thrilling, it is more like watching a series of random events loosely tied together under a half-baked premise. Even the action sequences, which should be one of the show's strengths, often feel disconnected or unimportant, and the stakes never feel real. Characters act inconsistently, and their motivations are unclear, making it difficult to care about what happens to them. Every episode seems to remind viewers that the story is more concerned with moving forward superficially than actually telling a meaningful or engaging tale. In the end, Sword Art Online does not feel like an anime made with care or passion. It feels like a messy experiment, a story thrown together without thought, leaving viewers frustrated and wondering how a concept with so much potential could be handled so poorly. Even people in Japan, where Sword Art Online was created, do not seem to have much love for the show. Despite its initial hype and international popularity, the series has earned a reputation for being poorly executed, and it has become widely criticized for its weak storytelling and shallow characters. Its flaws are not just noticed by international audiences. Fans in its home country also recognize that it fails to live up to its potential. In fact, the disdain for the series has gone so far that the name of the main character, Kirito, is sometimes used as an insult. People jokingly or sarcastically call someone a Kirito if they have bad taste in anime or enjoy shows that are widely considered low quality. That says a lot about how the series is perceived, even among the community it originally came from. The fact that a character's name has become shorthand for poor judgment highlights just how notorious the failures of the series have become. This is not a small criticism, it is a cultural marker of the reputation of the show. It demonstrates that Sword Art Online is more than just a flawed series. It has become a cautionary example within anime culture itself. Fans and critics alike recognize its weaknesses, and it serves as a reminder that hype and popularity do not automatically equal quality. It is genuinely hard to understand how and why people actually like Sword Art Online. On the surface, the show has so many glaring problems: poor pacing, weak character development, inconsistent storytelling, and missed opportunities, that it is difficult to see what would make it enjoyable. It leaves you wondering what exactly draws people in. Maybe some of the fans are new to anime and this was the first series they watched. If that is the case, they might not have a point of comparison yet, so the flaws are less obvious, and they simply enjoy the flashy premise, the action, or the fantasy elements. But for anyone with even a little experience watching anime, the shortcomings quickly become apparent. Another possibility is that some people stick with it out of ignorance, not realizing that there are countless other series that do the same premise far better. Shows like Overlord, Log Horizon, and many others explore the trapped-in-a-game idea with more depth, intelligence, and care. Once you see how those stories handle world building, character growth, and stakes, it becomes almost painful to watch Sword Art Online and wonder why anyone would consider it good by comparison. It raises the question: are these fans truly enjoying the story itself, or are they simply caught up in nostalgia, hype, or the popularity of the brand? Either way, it is baffling to anyone who knows better anime, and it makes you shake your head at how a show with so many obvious flaws still manages to maintain a fanbase. Many anime handle the trapped-in-a-video game idea much better than Sword Art Online. The concept itself isn't the problem. It's a strong setup for storytelling. The difference lies in how it's written, treating its world, characters, and stakes seriously. The story focuses on strategy, power, and consequences of being stuck in a game world. Characters feel distinct, and the consistent tone makes the experience engaging. Overlord commits to its idea, exploring it fully, unlike Sword Art Online's struggles. Its world feels alive, stakes are clear, and the story has a strong sense of direction. This makes it far more satisfying to watch. Done right, like Overlord, it leads to compelling, immersive stories worth your time. Log Horizon is another great show exploring characters stuck in a video game. It thoughtfully explores what it means to live in a game world long-term. One of Log Horizon's strengths is how it handles its world. Game rules actually matter. Characters form alliances, manage resources, and solve problems, not just fight. This makes the world feel more real and believable, even within a game. The characters are a big part of what makes the show work, feeling like real people. It leads to intense action, deep character moments, and questions of survival and identity. The foundation is already there for something great. Shows like Overlord and Log Horizon succeed because they understand this. They fully explore the premise, not rushing or ignoring details. Sword Art Online, however, fails to make the most of its idea. The problem isn't the idea, it's how it's handled. Strong execution is engaging. Weak execution, like Sao, can't save a great concept. Each time it falls short, repeating the same mistakes. Better to focus on new ideas with stronger direction from the start. Each new release brings more doubt and lower expectations. It's a lost cause, not because the idea was bad, but because it was never done right. Many great anime put real effort into storytelling, world building, and character development. These projects deserve attention and support, raising the standard for creators. It's about how people choose to spend their time. Don't stick with disappointing shows. Support engaging, well-written, rewarding stories. That wraps up this video, but don't worry, there's plenty more Sao criticism coming. This is only the beginning. The show has many issues, from writing and pacing to characters and missed opportunities. Trying to cover all that at once would rush it, which is the show's exact problem. That's why this will be an ongoing series. There's a lot more to dig into, focusing on different aspects like story arcs or characters. So if you thought this was a lot, just wait. This is only the start. Plenty more to say, and it will take many videos to explain everything wrong with Sao. There's a lot more to cover, and you're not going to want to miss what comes next.